Edie Lush, and I'm here at the Hub Culture Pavilion in Davos at the World Economic Forum. And I'm really pleased to be joined by Anuj Puri. He's the chairman and CEO of JLL India. Thank you very much for coming along.
Thank you very much for having me here.
So what are your thoughts on the takeaways from Davos for India?
Lots of thoughts. It's been a very interesting few days here. And the biggest thought that I gathered on this occasion is that the economy, social impact, technology, politics is all now influencing the decision making of the world leaders and the business leaders, which I had not seen as much before. I'd seen that these influences were there, but not on the decision making. And the decision making is really going forward and then impacting how competitive the various nations are going to be. And I could clearly see that on this occasion, that there were nations trying to be more competitive than the other. And then the political and the business leaders talking about climate change, talking about terrorism, which is a big agenda in the last 12 months, and then talking about technology and the big data. So there was a bit of a difference from what I witnessed last year to this year, particularly as the business and political leaders of the world decide to foray into the next 12 months through a decision-making process.
Was there anything that struck you from this year that you're taking home in your work with real estate in India?
Yes, certainly. It was interesting the way one of the speakers put it across, and they said is that the world is sort of moving on 4 engines of growth. So if you consider the world as an aeroplane, there are 4 engines of growth. One is America, which is firing very well. One is Europe, which is sort of halfway in there with sort of Greece and Portugal and Spain and some of the other economies having a bit of an issue. One is China, which after 25 or 28 years, the growth has started to slow down in there. And then Japan, which in Q3 of 2014 has then gone back into recession. So actually, if you look at it, out of the 4 engines of growth, one of them, which is America's, is firing on full speed, but the other 3 have some problem. And one of the key takeaways that I had is that can India become that substitute engine so that it can substitute the other 3 engines which are slowing down. And as the reforms in India and the new government and the Prime Minister Modi comes in with a lot more enthusiasm and energy, can he bring in the social reforms, the political reforms, the economic reforms that India urgently requires and put India back on the global map and help the world GDP grow through the India's growth? Interesting.
So how have you seen India's presence here in Davos this year compared to last?
So I'm told that India is the 2nd largest contingent who's attended Davos this year after the US, so which is a big presence in there. What I also saw was renewed vigor, enthusiasm, and perhaps urgency from both the political leaders who came in here as well as the business leaders who've come in to say that we want India to get back onto the growth plan. We want the reforms to continue at a fast pace the way that they have in the last 7 months. And they've not only been talking between themselves, but to the other world leaders and demonstrating that we mean serious business. The Indian economy, I must admit, over the last 2 or 3 years had sort of derailed. And hence it was important for the business community and the political community from India to come into Davos, speak with the world leaders and say, we've done a lot of self-goals. We've done a lot of mistakes over the last 2-3 years, but in the last 7 months with the new government, we're back on track and we mean business, and we're not now going to do tax terrorism and a lot of the issues that got created in terms of retrospectively changing the laws. We're going to be very proactive, we're going to be very firm, and we are going to be inviting foreign investment to come into India. We're going to try and reduce the corruption. And finally, we're going to try and make doing business in India easy for the foreign community.
All right, so you're going to have to come back next year and give me an update on how you've gotten on with all that.
Absolutely, and I hope we don't do any more self-goals because, we have a history. If everything is going right, we're going to do one wrong thing. So I hope that, in 12 months' time, when I see you, I can proudly come here and say we haven't done a self-goal.
Thank you so much for stopping by the Hub Culture Pavilion here in Davos, and I'm Edie Lush.